Hello everyone. Now we are going to discuss biological models, and as we have discussed earlier, like there were like ancient beliefs related to supernatural powers, moon and stars, mass hysteria, and then you can say with time people are able to understand that there is some biological any reasons, and these problems are like just like physical disease, where we have some physical causes and biological imbalances in the body, right? So first, if we see, that is early Greek and contribution, and in that like Hippocrates and the Galen, there are two people, right? So Greek physician Hippocrates ridiculed demonological account. He says demonological account is not a good thing. You cannot depend on that, and there is there is biological reasons behind these abnormal behavior. And he also told us like reasons related to that abnormal behavior. So what reasons the person he has given? He said there are fluid in the in our body, right? So and these fluid are, like you can say, he called it humors, humors, as so, and these are like blood, phalgum, black bile, and yellow bile. These like humors, he told us. So he told us like there are four fluid in body, and to maintaining these like natural balance is important to function properly. So he said if there is any kind of disbalance related to these fluids, that causes the problem in human, right? So he said, he argued that different types of disorders resulted because of deficiency or excess of these fluids. So deficiency or excess of these fluids. So and then the what will the treatment will be? If there is excess, you have to reduce it. If there is a deficiency, you have to increase it. So that will become the treatment of the problem. So and that was very you can say dominant thought during the middle of 19th century in the West. So uh, so he said that if you want to treat them, you have to manage these fluids, right? So and if so this so we can say that this was the view of uh, Greek physician Hippocrates. Then next one was Galen. He was Roman physician, adopted Hippocratic theory of fluids, and it advocate that four fluids relate to the Greek environmental concepts such as heat, dryness, moisture, and cold, that is phalgum. So he said these four things are related to four different kind of uh, you can say environment, that is heat is related to blood, dryness is related to black bile, moisture is related to yellow bile, and the cold is related to phlegm. So he adopted the Greek uh, physician Hippocrates theory and added the environmental factor into that, right? And he said, so now when he has added these things, so it means if like there is a like heat, so and that is related to blood. So if you want to manage the disorder caused by the blood, means heat. So you have to put that person in a like low temperature. If there is a like dryness, you have to put them in a place where there is a lot of moisture. So treatment becomes or like this, based on this theory, right? And that was the thing like he discovered. So early biological models of the mental cell used some unique techniques of treatment that we like discussed. One of these was bloodletting. Bloodletting techniques means if you have excess blood, then you have to remove it. And how they removed it? Through leeches, to minimize aggressive tendencies. So they consider that aggressive behavior is caused by the excess blood, and if you remove that blood, the person will be like less aggressive. And if the person is like depressed, they we have to induce that vomiting into them. And the diagnosed person was forced to eat tobacco leaf, boiled cabbage for vomiting. So that kind of treatment they use, because they believe that something, if something is in excess, so you have to reduce it. If something is less, then you have to add on it, right? So that kind of treatment they followed. And basic, there were like two people, Hippocrates and the Galen. You have to remember this. And then 19th century की अगर हम बात करें, so you will see the two names, J.P. Gray and Emil Kraepelin. We call it E. Kraepelin. So J.P. Gray theorizes mental disorder was always due to physical cause. He said there is physical cause, and he emphasized on the rest and the diet, proper room temperature and ventilation. So these things are uh, important, because if it is caused by the physical reasons, so we have to treat the physical environment, right? So even he has invented the rotary fan in a state hospital in New York to maintain the temperature and all those things. So, and the next person was, he was the most important person, you can say, the Emil Kraepelin. He contributed the area of diagnosis and classification of psychological disorder. So he has given like symptoms related to schizophrenia also, and that is still used in use in different classification systems. So each psychological disorder had a different age of onset, that is still persists. Like the starting point is different in each disorder to follow, and along with different cluster of presenting symptoms. So he said there are cluster means there are number of if you are diagnosing schizophrenia, there must be certain kind of symptoms. If you are diagnosing depression, so there must be some kind of like clubbed symptoms, like syndrome we call it. So his description of schizophrenia is still in useful, as I told you. We still use his descriptions. And he also describes schizophrenia as a psychotic disorder where we don't have reality contact, as well as the 11 subtypes of that disorders. And he said that they don't have reality contact, because they don't know, they are not connected to the reality, and they have delusions, that kind of thing he has described. So his contribution is very significant if we talk about Emil Kaplan. Then next topic is 1.3.3, the 20th century insulin shock therapy and electroconvulsive therapy. So understand one thing, like right now we also use electroconvulsive therapy, and we say it like electric shock therapy, like in our Hindi movies and Indian movies, you can see that. So that is like exaggerated, and you can say not a actual representation of that thing, but we can see those things. So in 1927, Manfred Seckel, he was a Viennese physician. Viennese means Vienna, Vienna. That is the place Freud belongs to. So, and that is a country, Austria, and that is the capital of Austria. So, began using higher and higher doses of insulin. He started using insulins with their patients, है ना? And some of them also went into the coma. and some of them have convulsion. Convulsion means like fits and all. So he started facing fits, and he found out that if someone has like convulsion, yani these फिट्स और सीजर्स जिनको हम बोलते हैं, तो दे डोंट हैव सिजोफ्रेनिया सरप्राइजिंगली. बाद में उतना ट्रू नहीं हुआ, बट स्टिल ही वाज बिलीविंग इन दैट. And yes, there was a less people who has schizophrenia in comparison to other population. And but the problem was, so he invented that thing. So the problem was, when you are giving lot of insulin to someone, so there is a point where the person can go in coma and he cannot come back. So it was a dangerous method, and that is why it was like insulin method was like then abandoned. He was not like it was not in use, because that also that may happen. And then Joseph Meduna in 1920 observed the schizophrenia was rarely found in epileptic. I already discussed that, like we found rarely develop schizophrenia. Epileptic means, like we call in Hindi, it is like mirgi, which is a kind of neurological disorder where person has seizures, fits, based on your like extra electrical discharge in your brain. So, so then this the follower of that person, that is Madonna, Joseph Madonna, uh, they started giving induced brain seizures, make they like cure schizophrenia. So they started thinking on those lines. If we induce some kind of convulsion in schizophrenic patients, so they may have we can treat them, right? So convulsive therapy, ECT we call it in short form, was used extensively frequently by doctors, but the controversial method, as a controversial method, and some doctors even use it to penalize the difficult and manageable patients. So the problem with that is, like, it is used as a punishment, and they some of doctors, like, they try to penalize those patients who are not following or they are not responding. So that kind of thing is, but still we use ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, in a limited form, in a more sophisticated way and less dangerous way. But it is a kind of treatment that is a last resort for any treatment, because now we have lot of good medicines, which works with the client. But still there are some clients where we call them like non-responding patients. They don't respond to medication, so there we can use. So that was the biological model of abnormal behavior, right? And it was 1.3 topic.